Joe Lee Kieyoomia was born on November 21, 1919, in the small town of Farmington, located in the northwestern part of New Mexico. His family background was unique, rooted in two very different cultures. On one side, the Navajo, an ancient Native American people inhabiting the southwestern United States, and on the other, Japanese ancestry, which was quite rare in early 20th century America. Joe's childhood was steeped in the traditions of the Navajo people. His family held deep respect for nature, ancestral beliefs, and traditional crafts. The Navajo culture emphasized harmony with the land, respect for the spiritual world, and strong family bonds. From a young age, Joe absorbed these values, learning to listen to the stories of elders, understanding the power of words, and the significance of rituals. At the same time, the influence of American civilization and increasing urbanization brought new challenges. The traditional way of life was confronted with the necessity of adapting to a rapidly changing world. Additionally, Joe was growing up in a society where Native Americans often faced discrimination and misunderstanding from the majority population. People of Japanese descent in the United States were also not always accepted, especially in the tense years leading up to the war with Japan. This situation demanded special resilience and inner strength from Joe and his family. As a teenager, Joe Lee showed himself to be a determined and responsible young man. He attended the local school, where his efforts and perseverance earned him the respect of teachers and peers alike. His mixed heritage soon became a source of pride. He understood that he carried within him the strength of two rich cultures and was determined to use this knowledge for the good of his family and country. By the late 1930s and early 1940s, as international tensions escalated, Joe realized he might be called upon to defend his country. In 1939 to 1940, amid rising tensions in Europe and Asia, Joe was drafted into the U.S. Army. From this moment, his life changed forever. He was assigned to the 200th Coast Artillery Regiment, a unit primarily composed of Japanese Americans, U.S. citizens demonstrating loyalty to their country. Joe underwent strict military training under rigorous discipline and high expectations. The training was demanding, but it taught him teamwork, decision-making under pressure, and how to remain strong in the face of adversity. The 200th Coast Artillery had a special reputation. Despite widespread prejudice in the U.S. against Japanese Americans and Native Americans, soldiers in this unit proved themselves some of the most professional and dedicated defenders of the nation. For Joe, this was a chance to prove not only to himself, but to everyone around him, that strength of spirit and valor are not defined by one's background or ethnicity. When Japan attacked Pearl Harbor in late 1941, the U.S. officially entered World War II. Joe and his regiment prepared to deploy to the Philippines, a vital stronghold in the Pacific. Their mission was daunting: to defend this strategic archipelago against the advancing Japanese forces. These early months of military service were filled with anxiety and anticipation. Joe often thought of his family and how significant this struggle would be, not only for America, but for the countless lives entwined with the war. His heart was filled with hope that he would endure and help preserve peace. This period prepared Joe Lee for the trials of the upcoming battles and the tragic events that would soon change his life forever. After many months of training and preparation, Joe Lee Kieyoomia and the 200th Coast Artillery Regiment were sent to the Philippines, a critical strategic area that soon became the site of some of the fiercest battles in the Pacific Theater during World War II. It was early 1942, and Japanese forces advanced rapidly with the aim to capture this vital stronghold from American and Filipino forces. The situation for the Allies was dire. Frontline units struggled with shortages of ammunition, food, and energy. The tropical environment added its own hardships: high humidity, relentless heat, swarms of mosquitoes, and rampant disease. On the battlefield, Joe demonstrated courage and discipline, fighting alongside his comrades, knowing that every moment could change the fate not only of himself, but thousands relying on their defense. Despite their best efforts, the situation deteriorated rapidly. In April 1942, the American and Filipino commanders made the painful decision to surrender on the Bataan Peninsula. This marked the end of open combat and the beginning of a grueling new ordeal. The soldiers who had fought so hard now faced starvation, disease, and injuries. Many fell to illnesses for which there was no remedy. Yet captivity became the greatest ordeal of all. The Bataan Death March began, a dark chapter of the Pacific War. Over 75,000 American and Filipino prisoners of war were forced to march approximately 65 kilometers under the blazing sun without adequate food or water. Along the route, Japanese guards inflicted cruel treatment, beating prisoners with rifle butts, shooting those unable to continue, and leaving the weak and sick to die by the roadside. Countless died from dehydration, exhaustion, and brutality. For Joe, this was not only a physical test. His mixed heritage, half Navajo, half Japanese, aroused suspicion among Japanese guards. They knew the Americans used the Navajo language as a secret code to transmit strategic messages, and sought prisoners who might hold information about the codes. Joe was subjected to interrogations and torture, viewed as a potential key to unlocking the Navajo code. This weighed heavily on his mind. He understood that survival meant guarding a secret he would never reveal. The early months of captivity were filled with terror and despair. Conditions in the camps were harsh: overcrowded barracks, lack of medical care, hunger and thirst, breaking down body and spirit. Joe witnessed death become an everyday reality, stealing hundreds of lives daily. Despite this suffering, Joe refused to let his spirit break. His Navajo upbringing, faith in the power of his ancestors, and deep sense of duty to family and country gave him strength to endure the nightmare. He earned respect among fellow prisoners for his resilience and ability to maintain morale in darkest moments. Over time, Joe was transferred between various camps across the Philippines and later to prisons on the Japanese home islands. He endured severe trials, but never lost hope that the war would end and he would return home. After 43 months of torment and deprivation, fate brought Joe to a prison in Nagasaki, the city which would shortly witness one of the 20th century's greatest catastrophes. There, on August 9, 1945, Joe miraculously survived the atomic bombing, sheltered behind the thick prison walls. Joe Lee Kieyoomia story is more than a war narrative. It is a testament to courage, willpower, and the incredible resilience of the human spirit. An individual who endured the worst and yet preserved humanity and hope for a brighter future. After the grueling Bataan Death March, Joe Lee Kieyoomia found himself in a chain of Japanese prisoner of war camps, places where every day was a test of endurance and humanity. These camps became the silent stages of the war, externally quiet, but filled inside with suffering, pain, and an unending struggle to survive. Life in the camp was excruciatingly harsh. Soldiers slept on bare wooden planks or cold floors, often without blankets or clothing to keep warm during the nights. Food was scarce and monotonous. Small portions of rice or hardtack biscuits, sometimes peas, usually devoid of vitamins and necessary calories. Starving bodies quickly weakened, with bleeding gums, ulcers, and scurvy becoming common afflictions. Medical care was nearly non-existent. The few doctors who made it to the camps worked at the limits of human capacity, and the lack of medicine and sanitary conditions turned even minor wounds into death sentences. Joe battled fevers and dysentery multiple times, feeling his muscles weaken and the pain inside growing unbearable. Yet he refused to give up, remembering the Navajo elders' words about the strength of spirit and faith. Japanese guards treated prisoners with contempt and cruelty. Torture, beatings, and arbitrary punishments were daily realities. Joe and a few others attracted special attention due to their suspected link with the Navajo code talkers, a unique group of American soldiers who transmitted secret messages in a language the Japanese could not decipher. For the Japanese officers, this secret was an unbearable mystery, and they sought to extract information through interrogations and torture. Despite pain and suffering, Joe remained silent. His internal resistance became an immense act of will and courage. He knew that revealing secrets could cost many of his comrades their lives. In moments of weakness and agony, he turned to the spiritual traditions of the Navajo, prayers, songs, and stories of ancestors that filled his soul with strength and prevented him from sinking into despair. Inside the prison camp, Joe found new friends and comrades, many sharing his hardships and hopes. Together, they supported each other, shared the last crumbs of food, exchanged stories of the past, and dreamed of returning home. Sometimes they held quiet ceremonies, reminding them of life outside the camp and helping preserve their humanity. Emotional trauma and fears never left the prisoners, but moments of mutual support and solidarity created small islands of hope and warmth. Joe understood that if he broke down, others would too. Toward the end of the war, Joe was transferred to a prison in Nagasaki, a place destined to become the stage for yet another terrible trial. On August 9, 1945, the city was devastated by an atomic bomb. The deafening explosion, searing flames, and destruction engulfed everything around. Many inmates and civilians perished instantly. But Joe survived, protected by the thick prison walls that shielded him from the direct blast wave and shock wave. He regarded this miraculous survival as a sign from above, a signal that life continues despite everything. After the explosion, chaos followed. Ruined streets, cries of the wounded, homeless people, and fires spreading across the city. Joe, along with other prisoners, helped tend to the injured, supported the weak, and comforted those who had lost hope. Having endured unimaginable trials, Joe and his fellow prisoners stood firm in the face of destruction and death. He witnessed how the war left deep scars on the bodies and souls of everyone caught in this bloody whirlwind. Joe Lee Kieyoomia story is a testament to an incredible human resilience, unwavering spirit, and faith that help him survive the most inhumane conditions. His journey inspires us to remember the cost of freedom and the importance of preserving humanity even in the darkest times. Joe Lee Kiyoomia's long-awaited liberation came after 43 grueling months of captivity. The news of Japan's surrender and the end of the war was a true miracle for him and thousands of other prisoners, bringing a long-awaited hope for salvation. Yet despite the joy and relief of freedom, a new difficult stage began. the return to normal life and recovery from the horrific trials. The first days after liberation were agonizing. Joe, like many emaciated soldiers, found himself in a military hospital. His body was wasted away. Weight loss, multiple illnesses, the after effects of torture and starvation left deep marks. Medical care at the time was limited, but through his determination and the care of doctors, he began to slowly heal. Simple actions, taking a shower, eating a meal, became victories. The psychological wounds were no less painful than the physical ones. During years of captivity, Joe endured betrayal, fear, loss of friends, and loneliness. He entered a time of profound reflection on all that had happened. He had to fight not only for his body, but for his soul. Navajo faith and spiritual traditions helped, teaching that even in the darkest trials, a light of hope never fades. Returning home to Farmington was filled with mixed emotions. His family greeted him with tears of joy, but also worries about how life would change after such horrors. The Navajo community was proud of the son who had endured the hell of war and captivity while preserving honor and dignity. At the same time, Joe faced the harsh realities of the post-war world: discrimination, misunderstanding, and challenges many veterans faced. But Joe chose a path not of complaint or despair, but of action. He dedicated himself to sharing his story, so the world would remember the horrors of war and help heal wounds. His accounts of captivity, the Bataan Death March, and surviving Nagasaki were not mere memories, but lessons of courage, endurance, and faith. He spoke to youth, participated in memorial events, and helped veterans' families acknowledge and accept their trauma. Among the most significant marks of recognition were numerous government awards, including the Purple Heart for wounds and valor. Yet for Joe, more important than awards was the opportunity to influence society, to be a living witness to history that must never be forgotten. His legacy extends far beyond his personal story. Joe Lee Kieyoomia became a symbol of human resilience and intercultural unity, embodying two great traditions, Navajo and Japanese, demonstrating that the strength of spirit does not depend on skin color or language. His story inspires peace, respect for diversity, and a commitment to justice. Modern generations, studying Joe's example, learn courage in adversity, the importance of memory, and overcoming prejudice. His life reminds us that historical lessons are not just facts, but the foundation for building a future where peace and humanity prevail. Today, Joe Lee Kiyoomia's name increasingly resonates in educational programs and memorial projects, serving as a bridge between past and present. His example is an invitation to cherish peace, be strong in trials, and remain true to one's values. Thus ended Joe's remarkable journey, from a boy in Farmington who grew up and walked through the fire of war to a symbol of courage and faith in better days. His story is a timeless reminder that even in the harshest trials, a person can keep the light inside and pass it on to future generations. Joe Lee Kiyoomia's story is far more than a narration of tragic and heroic events of World War II. It stands as a profound example of how one individual, empowered by inner strength and belief in values, can become a bridge between cultures, a source of inspiration for future generations, and a bearer of timeless lessons. In the decades following World War II, the world slowly came to comprehend the depth of suffering endured by millions, including American prisoners of war of Japanese descent and Native American peoples like the Navajo. Joe Lee's story holds particular significance because he merged these two unique identities facing unimaginable hardships. His life sheds light on previously underexplored aspects of the global conflict, how the collision of cultures and prejudices tested individuals and communities alike. Today, Joe's legacy serves as a living symbol of resilience, overcoming injustice, and strength of spirit. His account reminds us that preserving the past is not enough. We must learn from its mistakes and challenges to build a more just and peaceful society. Joe's image is widely used in educational programs, where students examine not only the facts of war, but also delve deeply into the emotional and cultural dimensions of tragedy, what it means to be a prisoner, to sustain hope and honor amid lifeless conditions. A special focus is placed on promoting cultural understanding. The Navajo Nation, one of the largest and most ancient indigenous peoples of the United States, is renowned for its traditions, language, and spiritual heritage. Japanese culture is also foundational for hundreds of thousands of Japanese American descendants who endured discrimination and wartime trials. Joe Lee's story helps bring these communities closer, demonstrating how differences can be embraced as strengths rather than barriers. In the US, such examples underpin multicultural education and anti-racism efforts. Beyond education, Joe's legacy significantly influences human rights and social justice movements. His experience underscores the importance of defending each person's dignity, regardless of race, ethnicity, or status. Stories of veterans like Joe inspire modern activists who oppose discrimination and injustice worldwide. His example demonstrates that even under brutal systems of oppression, humanity and faith in justice can be maintained. Technological advances in recent years play a crucial role in preserving and spreading Joe Lee Kiyoomia's story. Documentaries, virtual museums, interactive platforms, and educational apps enable young people worldwide to engage with this history in new ways. Such initiatives inform while fostering empathy, self-reflection, and responsibility, qualities vital in today's globalized world. Moreover, Joe's legacy inspires people not only in the US, but internationally. His story is a cornerstone for intercultural dialogue and global programs commemorating World War II and its lessons. At times when international relations face tensions, reminders of solidarity and overcoming hatred gain special importance. On a personal level, many families and communities affected by war and conflict find in Joe's example a source of hope and strength. His life shows how dignity and humanity can be preserved against all odds. This story motivates parents and educators to nurture respect for freedom, justice, and history within youth, teaching children to see others not as enemies, but as brothers and sisters. Thus, Joe Lee Kiyoomia's legacy remains a vibrant and multifaceted example for all of us. It reminds us that every generation bears the responsibility to preserve memory, foster understanding, and build a just world. Even in the harshest circumstances, the light within one's spirit can illuminate a path for others. Through programs exploring Joe's life, schools, universities, and museums contribute to shaping a more compassionate society. His story is a bridge between past and future, a call to remember and act, to be strong and honest. This is why Joe Lee Kiyoomia's name will remain forever in the hearts and minds of those striving for peace, freedom, and mutual respect.